Hi, it's Greg. Okay, so you've done some research of Modern Family. I'm now going to tell you about the next assignment, which is a writing assignment. Realistically, you've done very little research. I mean, I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean you're just getting a small taste of what screenwriters do all the time, which is learn about a particular show, in sitcom as opposed to if we were talking about movies, I'd say learning about a particular genre. If you were trying to write sitcom, you'd really need to know what's out there in the world of sitcom. You'd need to be researching existing shows and making notes. And if you were trying to write for an existing show, you'd need to know it inside and out. What you have done so far with Modern Family is really just a little bit of a taste. I think probably they've had a couple hundred episodes, and you have read, I think, what, 4 or 5, and it's just giving you a little bit of a taste, a small smidge of a taste of something that writers who are breaking in Hollywood and in TV in general have to do all the time, which is research, research, research. They have to know the shows that are out there. And especially if you're trying to write for an existing show, which is where most of the actual jobs are. Most people who are making a living as a TV writer in Hollywood are not writing on a show that they created. They're writing on a show someone else created, and they're not coming up with the characters. They're maintaining the characters. Okay? I think you get the idea. Now, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the assignment that's going to be due 1 week from today's Friday, so 1 week from today, next Friday. So if today is, that'll be the beginning of October. So we're talking about the assignment that'll be due October 7th, that you will email me on October 7th. Okay? It's a 2-page assignment. It's a writing assignment. You're going to be writing in the style and with the characters of Modern Family. There's very strict parameters on how you're going to write this. And there's a lot of reasons for why I make it so tightly controlled. Partly it's that I don't want you to have to spend time tearing your mind apart to create new characters, which is a great deal of work. I want you to just work with what we have. You've met the Modern Family characters, even if you never watched the show. You know who Claire is, you should know who Phil is, you should know who Manny is. Now you're going to pick 2 characters, and you're going to write a 2, not 3, not 1, a 2-page scene for those 2 characters. Many people will pick Phil and Claire. Usually, most people will pick one of the 2 married couples, Mitch and Cam, or Gloria and Phil, or Gloria and Jay. You don't have to pick those 2 characters. If you want it to be Haley and Luke, that's fine too. Okay? You're going to use 2 characters from Modern Family. Both characters must have agendas. You've read about agendas in Bring the Funny. They must have something that they want or need. Okay? You're going to give secrets to your characters. That's just a general writing tool. It helps you write. You're going to stay in the tone of the show. Please don't put them on Mars or have a political assassination take place. That wouldn't happen on Modern Family. Okay, so you're going to write a scene for an episode. You're not going to write any more of that episode, so you don't have to worry so much about where it goes after this scene, because you're not going to be writing a full plot. You're just writing one scene, and then we're going to move on and do something else next week. Next week, you're going to write a different scene, but it's not going to be connected to this scene. Okay, so you're just this is all about writing a 2-page scene. Exactly 2 pages long. I want you to write a clean scene to keep it really simple. I'm going to show you some examples, okay, of what I mean in terms of how you write your scene, okay? A clean scene has no adverbial stage directions. It has a maximum of 2 lines of description, meaning stage directions and action lines in the entire scene, no more than that. But I'll give you some examples. I'll walk you through it, okay? Okay, this is a page of dialogue from Modern Family from the pilot, okay? And as you can see, it's literally all dialogue. That's a clean scene. That's a clean page of dialogue. Its character says this. Other character says that. And it's only Mitch and Cam. It's page 20 of the pilot if you want to look at it and see it better. Okay, at the very top, I'm just giving you some format discussion here. At the very top, you see how it says, of course it's backwards maybe for you, My American Family Pilot, 12908. You don't need that. I'm going to cross that out. In other words, you don't need to do that kind of thing. Okay, because okay, so forget that. I'm talking about character dialogue. Okay, formatted well. This is your example. Format is your issue. I don't spend a lot of time on it. If you can get or use or borrow Final Draft. That's by far the best thing to use, but you can figure it out. The goal is for it to look like a Modern Family script. You have plenty of examples, and you get graded on format because there's no point in writing out of format. Format is also incredibly important because the reason the formatting is relevant is because one page should equal about 1 minute of screen time. That's why a 30-page script lasts 30 minutes long. Okay, so when people blow up the format and use incorrect format, they not only look unprofessional, they're also writing something that is unprofessional because it's either going to take too long or too short a period of time to read, and professionals don't do that. So that's what I call a clean scene or clean writing. Just to be clear, as I'm sure most of you know, the thing that's underlined there is the slug line. You're going to have one slug line in this scene. There's going to be don't use any interviews. This is really just going to be like interior, Jay and Manny, they're eating dinner, dialogue for 2 pages. Make sense? Okay? And then it's just going to end. Okay? You do not need to, and you should not, use parentheticals. Don't use them. If you've read Bring the Funny, you know why I don't want you to use them. They're just going to get in the way. They're going to lead to unclear dialogue. They're a crutch. And then right here, the things that I'm circling here, these are, call them stage directions, call them action lines, right? That's not dialogue, okay? You get 2 total sentences, 2 total lines of stage direction for your entire scene. One of them will probably be at the beginning because you'll have a slug line at the top. It'll say interior, Dunphy House, -day, or, kitchen day. And then you'll have, let's say, Phil and Claire eating breakfast, period. Start your dialogue. Well, then you've got one more action line to use. Maybe at the end of, in the middle of the scene, you put, Phil begins dancing on the table. There you go. You've used both action lines. Okay? So this exercise is all about using dialogue to tell your story. Dialogue to move your action, move your story forward. Give you some more examples. What you see here on page 22 of the pilot, that's an example of 2 lines of stage direction, 2 lines of action, and a slug line. If that's how you started your scene, that would be it for your slug line and all your stage directions. And from then on, you'd have 2 straight pages of 2, not 3, 2 characters talking. Don't put anything in parentheses. As I said before, don't put he said angrily or she says looking at the floor. We don't need any of that. I just want 2 people, and I want dialogue. And I want you to move the scene ahead with dialogue. A little bit more. Don't resolve the scene. There's no reason to put a button on the end that answers a question and stops the tension. Much better, escalate the tension by adding a new element. You can do that with when someone has a secret or has something to say at the end that radically raises the stakes. And again, you've read Bring the Funny, you know how important raising the stakes is. So let me just see if I've told you everything. Don't resolve the scene, I said that. Try to make it end with what happens next. Try to make it funny. Okay. Use escalation to create tension. Go for jokes wherever you can. Try to use late point of attack. That's defined to Bring the Funny. You should know that. Aim for conflict. That's the main thing that you want to get in this scene. 2 people having a conflict, or more than one conflict. And it doesn't necessarily have to be overt or stated. It could be stated. It could not be stated. That's up to you. Okay? So this is our diagnostic scene. Again, this is a clean page of dialogue. You want 2 pages like this, starting with a slug line and up to 2 lines of description or action lines. You can email me, depaulg@newschool.edu. If you want me to tell you, if you think your scene, you want me to tell you if I think your scene is working, send it to me. All right, I'll read it briefly and I'll give you a couple thoughts. But the whole point here, and again, please don't use an interview scene. Please don't make it more than 1 scene. You don't need to have any cut-tos. You don't need to have, by the way, these numbers in the pilot and on many of the scripts we have on the side where it says 24, 25 on page 22 of the pilot. That's for production. That would be, for when you're actually shooting these things. We don't need that either. You don't need to put any numbers on the sides of scenes, and you're only going to have 1 scene, so the only number you'd have would be 1 anyways. But so we don't need that. I'm really looking for clean 2-page scenes. Let me emphasize, 2.5 is too many pages. So end your scene at the bottom of page 2, get to the bottom of page 2. You don't need to put the end at the bottom, anything like that, okay? Because that's just taking up space. This is all about writing 2 minutes of dialogue, okay? And the 2 minutes of dialogue has got to have action, it's got to have conflict, it's got to have tension. At the end, it's going to have what happens next. You're going to do something at the end of that scene that makes me wonder what would happen next. We're never going to write that second scene. You don't need to write more than the 2 pages. We're not going to come back to this story. If you want to experiment with some, with a fun idea, Phil and Jay are at the shopping mall. They are shopping in the Gap, looking at, men's shorts. Boom. Start your scene. That's great. You're not going to have to write more of that story. Okay, a lot of things you're not going to have to do in this exercise. You're not going to have to come up with, you're not going to have to create your characters. We all know them. You already know who your characters are. You know general things about your characters because you've read at least, a number of Modern Family scripts. You know that Claire is neurotic and controlling. So give her something neurotic and controlling to do, and you'll be well within the tone of how Claire is written. You know that Phil is, I take that back, Jay, you know that Jay is a curmudgeon who's constantly worried about his age and whether he's too old for his wife. Well, you already know that. You don't have to create that. You just have to use it in the scene if you write Jay. Okay, so this has been an 11-minute video. It was longer than I expected. I've probably restated a lot of stuff. I apologize for that. Email me with questions. Again, you got to get the format right all by yourself. And please don't send me stuff that, doesn't have periods, where there should be periods. Please don't send me anything with misspellings. That's why God created spell check. And please, write what you think is funny and fun and has conflict. Okay. So that's the assignment for 1 week from today. I'm going to write it in the assignment section in Canvas, and we will see what you write. Okay, thank you so much.